Hello, hello. Josh Thomas, mortgage broker in Utah, coming at you. I wanted to share a couple of articles with you and some information. There is so much information that I want to share, but it's about the housing bubble. Is this a housing bubble? Everybody's getting really, really concerned about that. And to be honest, I've been answering this question for like 3 years now with almost the same exact information. That doesn't mean that we're even closer to the end of the bubble. I think we still have several years in front of us, at least 3 and possibly 5, before we're going to have any meaningful shift. And I'm going to get into why that is. But keep in mind, share this information with others. Yes, I am a mortgage broker. Yes, I would love to help you with your mortgage needs. And yes, I do think that if you don't own a home, you better be finding a way to buy one right now. I do not think it's too late for that. In fact, it's a great option. It's just great. But even if you don't call me and my team, please get into the housing market. We are very competitive in this marketplace. I have been doing this since 2003. We've been able to help a lot of people, hundreds and hundreds of people buy homes and make meaningful impact on their financial lives. So we would love to help you, but at a minimum, get this information out there so everybody can experience it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and open this up. So this first article, I'll link it, but you have to have a subscription to read all of it. But this particular article is just by a really smart dude. He's the economist for Housing Wire, probably the leading editorial on housing in general. But Logan has been batting it out of the park lately. In fact, he even cites his own article that he published a year ago that has been dead on. So go ahead and take a minute and read through that. But he pretty much covers the same stuff that's in this other article that I want to go ahead and cover with you guys now. And I'll link both these articles in the video. So do take the time to understand this. I know life's busy. I know we got a million distractions, but honestly, I think that this information can literally it can make you thousands of dollars. And so take a minute and read through it. So number one, are we in a housing bubble? And they're basically saying no. And that's actually the problem. So this is not like last time. So number one, mortgage standards are nothing like they were back then. Did you know that they can actually graph the lending standards? So what this chart is that you're looking at is basically the whatever people itemizing the amount of risk that's built into today's loan. So today's mortgage is an investment for some, and they want to calculate how much risk is in that investment. And so they have indicators they measure. Well, this is showing you the disparity. So the red set is the difference between borrower's exposure and bank's exposure, where nowadays you can see it's very, very tight. So banks are very not exposed right now. And that is a very powerful difference in today's market, number one. So that's a pro, even though I hate it because all my borrowers have to go through some crazy nitpicky banking in order to get loans. That's just the way it is in our industry. Everybody has to go through it. I don't like that, but it does make this market safer and more sustainable. Number two, prices aren't soaring out of control. This one I don't necessarily agree with. It's certainly not the headline. But do notice in 02, 03, 04, 05, look at these nearly average 10% appreciation year over year. $300,000 house gains $30,000 in 1 year. That's a big, big deal. That was very aggressive. But notice that we're kind of there already. And in fact, our national statistics recently came out showing a 12%. Case-Shiller came out and said 12% was the average appreciation across the country very recently. And then I think in Utah, we might be pushing 20% in a lot of markets, neighborhoods in Utah. And so I do feel like we're actually at risk with this, but all these other indicators I'm talking about, not so much. It's certainly not the same market. So again, how many houses are on the market? So right before the crash, you can see that we were in a seller's market then. Oh, by the way, this 3.9 is the number of months it takes to sell every single house. So the number of homes listed for sale compared to the number of closings there were the last month. And they divide those two numbers together, and then that gives you months of inventory. So if there were 100 homes on the market for sale and 10 people bought and closed the month before, then there would be 10 months supply. It would take 10 months to clear out that inventory. That's what all these measure. You can see it, 3.9 was an average in 2004. That's a seller's market for sure. 2005, that's a pretty good seller's market. But then it shifted to a buyer's market around this time, where in 2017, 18, 19, and 20, we've been in a seller's market the entire time and decreasing. And right now in Utah, in Salt Lake anyway, we have less than 1 month of supply. Less than one. All homes will be sold in weeks if nobody else listed their house for sale right now. It's insane. It's totally crazy. In fact, I'm going to pause right here for just 1 second because I want to drive this home. So the number one reason that all this is happening that they don't talk about here is population, right? So pay attention to the mega trends. Millennials, 78 million of them. Okay, that is 3 million more than the baby boomers, but a lot more than the Gen Xers. So the baby boomers came in, did their thing, turned 30, turned 40, had their families. Now they're kind of all getting old and retiring and stuff, right? And if you're in a baby boomer phase, calling it as it is, right? I got my turn coming, I know. But then they have their kids, and their kids they're fewer. There's a lot fewer of them. But you know how it's kind of like the footsteps, right? These guys have big footsteps. Well, these guys don't have big feet. And so we come into the marketplace with jobs, with income, with spending, and all these different things. And we're just not, Gen Xers just aren't spending what baby boomers did. And they're just not buying what baby boomers bought. And so the markets kind of went crazy when that shift started happening. And that's where all this risky product came from, right? As they were trying to stimulate the economy by giving more risky products to the buyers. And then sure enough, Gen Xers and baby boomers were not only just buying their houses, they were buying investment properties on a lot of them. Right. But eventually that all died off. And that's what built the house of cards that crashed in 2008. Okay. Millennials come in. So baby boomers, Gen Xers, millennials, even bigger than baby boomers. So they're now buying a whole lot more than Gen Xers ever did of anything and everything. Why is the stock market just cranking right now in a down economy? That's weird and messed up. That's why. It's because the millennials have so much money. There's so many of them, right? Baby boomers we're kind of back now, right? There's a lot of us, but the millennials have joined us in this market and making a ton of money and spending a ton of money. And so everything is growing like crazy, housing included. Okay. And until that whole thing evens out, you're not going to see any of this change, right? And so let's keep going with, let me get back here to sharing again. I promise I'm trying to go through as quick as I can because there's so much to cover. But new construction, this is kind of what I was talking about. So coming into the early 2000s when baby boomers were big, construction was huge. Look at it setting all these records right here. And then when the millennials start coming into the market, look how much construction there isn't. And so they quickly sop up all of the remaining houses that were built and stuff like that here. And all those have been getting sopped up over the years, the last several years. But coming into this year and last year and the year before, our inventory has been dropping little by little because there's just more owners now than there are properties. And so that's a huge trend. That's definitely a huge reason that we will not experience a bubble anytime soon. This has to be fixed in a big, big way before that's going to change. Notice this one, affordability, right? This is measuring how affordable to today's income compared to today's pricing. And you notice this compared to 15 years ago, we have a much, much more affordable house. Now, a lot of people tell me, Josh, I can't afford that. Ain't me. I'm like 100% of my income goes to my house. And that may be, but across the country, the average it's a very, very affordable experience today, way more so than 2006 and really any time before for decades. Right. So that's a big deal. So, and rates could shoot up and that would still, I mean, rates could be 6-7% and it would still fit within that 25%. So that's not going to decrease demand anytime soon. And then last but not least, cash out refinancing. It was huge, 506, 07, $800 billion is cashed out. Well, in our last 3 years, we've only cashed out $350 billion. So $500 billion less. Again, remember, a lot more population, a lot more homes that exist and families, and yet we're still cashing out $500 billion less than we did back then. But I will tell you that 2021 is going to be a big cash out year. If you have thought about it, give me a call. We definitely want to have some conversations about that. A lot of people are cashing out for debt consolidations, which is really, really smart. really powerful, especially when combined with financial planning plans. And then on top of that, some are even investing with it, buying other real estate, and that has served me really well. And so maybe that's a good thing for you to consider as well. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and try to wrap up. Please rewind. Please watch this. If any of this isn't making sense, watch it over and over. Comment below. Ask questions. Or if you have other insights, share it. If you think I'm a nut and it's definitely crashing, share your reasoning. I would love to get in a discussion, or give me a call. That would be even better. Please make sure you share this with anybody else, especially if they're potentially in the home buyer market or don't own a home already. Share this with them. Get them fix that, right? They need to own a home. Huge. And then, of course, if you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and do so. That way you always get all the videos that we release. And Josh Thomas, mortgage broker. I hope this was useful to you. That's why I shared it. So have a great day.